Here we have longtime grifter, cheater, dirty trickster Roger Stone, who is now in the crosshairs of the January 6th committee, as well as possibly the Department of Justice on account of videos that have recently surfaced in which he is heard to suggest that Trump would find a way to use violence in order to remain president. And he also stated that the result would be taken to the courts where they would be sure to win because Trump appointed the judges. That this did not turn out the way he thought is one thing. After all, in the final analysis, Trump and anyone who gets close to him tend to be very bad at predicting the future, or for that matter, despite claiming to be winners, seldom win at anything unless, of course, they are cheating or breaking the law. But, more seriously, as a second factor, this information that has surfaced appears to be very close to a confession to a serious crime. In terms of his natal chart, and although I don't have a time of birth to work with, but nevertheless, a lot of the patterns are pretty clear, including that you see a Pluto-Mercury conjunction with Pluto right next to the South Node. The South Node is not shown here, but you can see the North Node at 2046 Aquarius, therefore 2046 Leo is the South Node. This is the classic signature of someone that is drawn to power, domination, including all the way to fascism. Now, Stone finds himself with Saturn transiting through Aquarius and in degrees that trigger this natal T-square of his involving Jupiter, Moon Mars, and Pluto Mercury. And so Saturn is effectively opposing in this direction the Pluto Mercury, squaring the Moon Mars, and squaring Jupiter. Meanwhile, Uranus is roaming around the same degrees from Taurus. In 2022, at the moment, it's actually close to just squaring the Mercury alone. But because it's going to be moving forward from here, it's going to run through all these planets in 2023. So at minimum, the situation he's in is going to make for a lot of discomfort during the rest of 2022 and into the spring of 23, which is the period when Saturn is going to be activating this T-square. Moreover, simultaneous with that, the Neptune transit late this year is pretty close to opposing this Venus, and therefore it's also in play and it's also applying pressure. As for what happens when we move forward into the spring of 2023, true that Saturn moves beyond all his fixed degrees and stops putting pressure on the T-square, but aside from the fact that, as already mentioned, Uranus continues to put pressure by moving deeper into the degrees of his T-square, notice that the ephemeris reveals he's looking at 2026 before it stops putting pressure on one planet or another in that formation. And as for Saturn leaving, yes, it does. But as it enters Pisces, it pretty much immediately opposes his Sun degrees and does so until early 2024. So, bottom line, plenty of time for this malevolent grifter to get his very well-deserved comeuppance. It was particularly disturbing to hear this totally depraved traitor state that upon losing the election, Trump should just declare himself the winner and refuse to accept any other outcome since, in Stone's words, possession is 9/10 of the law. Great. Pretty much exactly what we would expect an anti-democratic fascist wannabe to say. But now it's looking like accountability is coming, and it's going to be tough times ahead for the stone-faced Roger the Dodger criminal degenerate.